In 1913, the British Admiralty was pushing the boundaries of naval warfare. The dreadnought revolution had already made older battleships obsolete, but now a new breed was emerging, the Queen Elizabeth class. HMS Malaya was ordered as part of the 1913 naval estimates, funded in part by the Federated Malay States, a gesture of imperial loyalty that would forever link her name to the region. Built by Sir W. G. E. Armstrong Whitworth and Company on the River Tyne, her keel was laid in October 1913, and she was launched on the 18th of March, 1915. She was a masterpiece of her time, armed with 8 mighty 15-inch guns, capable of hurling shells weighing nearly a ton over 20 miles. Her engines gave her a top speed of 24 knots, fast for a battleship of the era. Her armor was thick, her secondary armament potent, and she bristled with smaller guns for close-in defense. HMS Malaya was commissioned into the Grand Fleet in early 1916, joining the 5th Battle Squadron under Rear Admiral Hugh Evan Thomas. She entered service during the height of World War I, just in time for the greatest naval battle of that war. In the spring of 1916, tensions at sea were reaching their peak. The German High Seas Fleet was planning a strike in the North Sea, hoping to lure part of the Grand Fleet into a trap. Malaya, as part of the fast and powerful 5th Battle Squadron, often worked alongside Vice Admiral Sir David Beattie's battlecruiser fleet. Her role was unique. She had the speed to keep up with battlecruisers, but the firepower to outgun them. In late May, orders came to put to sea. The Germans were on the move, and the Grand Fleet intended to intercept. As the grey waters of the North Sea rolled under her keel, Malaya's crew knew they were heading toward a confrontation unlike anything they had yet faced. Her guns were readied, ammunition hoists loaded, and damage control parties stood by. On the 31st of May, 1916, the Battle of Jutland began, and Malaya would soon find herself in the thick of it. The first hours of Jutland were a deadly dance between British and German battlecruisers. Malaya's squadron lagged slightly behind Beattie's force, but when they came into range, their heavy 15-inch guns roared into action. Malaya's gunners fired on German battlecruisers and battleships, scoring hits at extreme range. But the Germans replied with deadly accuracy. At 5:35 p.m., Malaya took a direct hit from a German 12-inch shell that smashed into her armor, starting fires and killing men instantly. More shells followed. She was struck 8 times in total. One hit caused a fierce fire in her casemates, where secondary guns and ammunition were stored. The flames spread quickly, threatening to ignite the magazines. Only the quick action of her crew, flooding compartments and sealing off the blaze, saved her from destruction. By battle's end, 65 of her crew were dead, and over 30 wounded. Her upper works were riddled with holes, her paint scorched and blistered. Yet she had fought with determination, helping to drive the Germans back to port. Jutland was indecisive, but Malaya had proven her worth. Following Jutland, Malaya remained with the Grand Fleet until the armistice in 1918. She participated in the surrender of the German High Seas Fleet at Scapa Flow, a moment that symbolized the Royal Navy's dominance. In the 1920s, she underwent refits to improve her armor, modernize her fire control, and fit new anti-aircraft guns. She also became a floating symbol of British sea power, visiting ports across the empire. Her link to the Malay States was celebrated during these tours, reinforcing imperial ties. By the early 1930s, Malaya was no longer the cutting-edge battleship she had been in 1916, but she remained a potent force, and the Admiralty was not yet ready to retire her. When the storm clouds of another world war gathered, HMS Malaya was again made ready for action. When war broke out in September 1939, Malaya was assigned to convoy escort and patrol duties. The threat now was not just from enemy battleships, but from U-boats and aircraft. In early 1940, she helped escort troop convoys, including those bringing forces to reinforce the Middle East. She also took part in the hunt for German raiders, a reminder that even old battleships could serve a critical role in protecting shipping lanes. After the fall of France in June 1940, the Mediterranean became a hot zone. Malaya joined Force H at Gibraltar, under Vice Admiral Sir James Somerville. She now found herself guarding convoys bound for Malta, a vital link in the Allied war effort. In the Mediterranean, Malaya took part in the action at Mers-el-Kébir in July 1940, where the Royal Navy attacked the French fleet to prevent it from falling into Axis hands. She also supported Malta convoys under constant threat from Italian air and naval forces. During the Battle of Cape Spartivento in November 1940, Malaya exchanged fire with Italian battleships in a brief but intense engagement. Though inconclusive, her presence was vital in keeping the Italians cautious. By 1941, the Mediterranean was a dangerous place for any ship, mines, aircraft, and submarines lurked everywhere. Malaya was soon to feel that danger firsthand. In March 1941, while escorting convoy SL-68 from Freetown to Britain, Malaya was attacked by the German submarine U-106. A single torpedo struck her port side, flooding compartments and killing several men. The damage was serious. She took on thousands of tons of water, and her list increased steadily. But her crew worked tirelessly to keep her afloat. Escorted by destroyers, Malaya limped into Trinidad for emergency repairs before making the long trip to the United States for a full overhaul at the New York Navy Yard. The repair work kept her out of action for months, but it saved her from the fate of so many warships lost to submarine attack. By 1942, Malaya was back at sea, again guarding convoys across the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. Her speed and firepower deterred surface raiders, while her escorts handled the U-boat threat. Though no longer a frontline battleship in fleet actions, she was invaluable in the protection of vital merchant shipping. She also carried out patrols in the South Atlantic, ensuring Axis blockade runners and supply ships could not operate freely. By 1943, the tide of war was turning in the Allies' favor. Newer battleships and aircraft carriers now took the lead in major operations, and older ships like Malaya were increasingly relegated to secondary roles. She continued convoy escort duties into 1944, but the wear and tear of decades at sea was taking its toll. In early 1945, she was withdrawn from active service and placed in reserve. HMS Malaya was sold for scrap in February 1948, ending over 3 decades of service. She had fought in the largest naval battle of World War I, endured heavy punishment, and served across the globe in World War II. Her story is one of resilience, adaptability, and the enduring value of well-built warships. She began her career as the pride of the Grand Fleet and ended it as a workhorse escort, still guarding the convoys that kept Britain alive. The people of the Federated Malay States had given her name and part of her funding, and in return, she carried that name with honor through 2 world wars. Today, she lives on in naval history as a symbol of the long reach of British sea power and the courage of those who served aboard her. From the gun decks to the bridge, every story we tell honors those who served. If this tale made you feel the salt and steel of history, give it a like, and if you're not yet part of our channel's Convoy, subscribe and join the ranks. More powerful stories await.